Hey there, tech enthusiast. Get ready for Tech Ties and Human Vibes, the podcast where technology in the AI era meets the human touch. I'm Adam Nelson with Tech Ties and Human Vibes, here with the lovely Nancy Henriquez. And Nancy, you can say hi.
Hi.
There you go. And our long lost friend that that's also a partner with us in Sibyl Consulting, Leslie Farmer. She plows the competition down with her Leslie Farmer experience.
She also nurtures. She also nurtures too. Nurtures growth.
I do.
That's true. She does.
Yeah, cultivates relationships. I mean, all of the farming is
so
done.
much farming. Yes. Hi. Thanks for having me. It's great to be back on the podcast.
Well, Leslie, I've got a question for you right off the bat. Okay. Now, I know that I said the Leslie Farmer experience, but I want to know more about this, right? You mentioned on LinkedIn that you deliver the Leslie experience. Hold on. The Leslie experience.
That is correct.
What does that mean? Like, what if a client's looking at that and they're like, what is this Leslie experience? What is that?
All right. So the Leslie experience actually started in 2020, officially naming it and putting a name to it, right? But I do think that throughout my professional career, for the many years that I have been a professional, there's always been something that people really seem to gravitate towards with me and the relationships that I create with our clients and customers and even the people on our teams, right? So for many years, I was in charge of the client-facing, customer-facing part of a software company that I worked at. And I intentionally cultivated those relationships over all those years. And I don't really know a specific thing that makes it what it is, but people keep coming back to me saying, hey, Leslie, you were so great. Can you please help us again? Or, hey, Leslie, you really had something to say about that. Can you help us through this? I think from some of what I did, there's a technical aspect of some of the things that I can kind of put in a different light that makes people understand a little better. So that for sure at a software company was really helpful. But I also really think that it's part of how I listen and try to understand what the client needs and really kind of dive into their brain and then put it in a way that they can understand. So that just is kind of the baseline for it. And I do feel like after I talk to a lot of clients or customers, especially in a customer support setting, sometimes they're not as happy at that moment, which I know there's really great happy customers, which is amazing. And then most of the time you hear from the not as happy ones, those that maybe didn't have the best experience. And so
That's fair.
A lot of times people would say, hey, Leslie, can you get on this call? Can you come do this thing? Hey, come with us to this thing because you'll bring something to that space, right? And so that's kind of where it ended up in a certain way. So I was at a client site, and my boss at the time was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna do great," because it was a big presentation, and the customer hasn't been getting really a lot of what they I think they really wanted, and so we're trying to like meet them in the middle and figure out how better we could move forward, right? And so that was this conversation. It was a big long day. There was quite a few of us there. And my boss said something about, oh yeah, it's going to be great because you're going to be there. You're going to do what you do. And then I said, oh yeah, I'm going to bring the Leslie experience. And so at that moment I was like, hey, I kind of like that, like just kind of branding that whole aspect that I can't really put into words. And so I actually remember writing it down on a piece of paper because it was like early 2020 before all the things, right? And so I wrote the Leslie Experience 2020 in like bubble letters just to like remind myself, and I had it in my planner, and I kept it with me. And so then I just kept putting back to that. Okay, what would Leslie do, right? Like, what is the Leslie Experience really about? And so whenever I would try to bring that to my clients, bring that to my team, some days were better than others, obviously, like everybody. But I try to go back to that and say, okay, what is the Leslie Experience really about? And what do I need to bring to the situation that can really help the the clients, the people, the product, whatever it is. So that's kind of where it started. When I left that company and started consulting, I just kind of leaned into the Leslie experience since 2020, really. And so whenever I started consulting, someone was like, you should call it the Leslie Experience Consulting Company or something. And I was like, I don't know. So I actually ended up finding, so my name is Leslie Farmer. And I was like, how could I do that? Like, but in a way. So I actually found LFX Consulting, which is the Leslie Farmer Experience. LFX was
I
not
love it. Yeah.
taken. LFX Consulting was not taken. There's a few other LFXs. There is an LFX Consulting in the UK, but that's neither here nor there. They
But
didn't
they're
have the
not Leslie
website.
Farmer Experience though,
It's not
right?
the Leslie Farmer Experience. So I took LFX Consulting, and so that's kind of my brand is the Leslie Experience and just what I can provide. I can't always put a word to it. Y'all might be able to help me with that, with the words that come with that experience that you have now experienced. But I do try to bring that in everything that I do. And that's a really long explanation, but that's the story of the Leslie Experience.
So I don't want to oversimplify it, but what I see is like, um, I guess a very well executed customer experience is what I see.
Yeah.
A very well executed. So your attention to detail is one. I know that is something I'm lacking. So it's always great to have you on board.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I see,
Yeah.
right? Attention to
Yeah.
detail, your experience with the customer, making sure the customer feels more than welcome and more than
Mhm.
happy, and
And
even their customers feel that same way.
exactly. And that has definitely evolved over all the years, right? You learn from the things from your past and you make it better and you get training and all the leadership training that I've done in the past to kind of help reinforce, oh yeah, that thing that I do, that's actually a good thing or this other part isn't. So I need to kind of go towards the good part. I don't know if that makes sense. Um so yeah, you kind of cultivated you cultivate it over the years on the things that you learn and just knowing that people want to be seen and heard, right?
Yeah.
They also want to do business with people they know, like, and trust, which I don't know exactly who said that at some point. I've heard that so many times, but I love that because I want to be someone that somebody knows, likes, and trusts with the information they're giving me, with the information I'm giving them. And that just kind of, I think, all encompasses that whole part of it is the client experience, the personal experience that I bring to whatever I'm doing. I do try to make it fruitful.
We're
Sorry.
gonna stay in the farming space. No, I like what you said, because what you're talking about is an exchange of information and knowledge, right? And that's something that I feel, along with the attention to detail, what is really something that fits you really well is that you're naturally a teacher. Like, I feel like you naturally teach, and because of that aspect of it, you place yourself in the customer's shoes in the sense of how, not only what is the information that they need to know, but what is the best way that they will receive it. And that, I think, is part of the Leslie experience, is translating the information and then putting it in a way that someone else is not only going to be open to receiving it, but will also utilize it and be able to activate that knowledge going forward. So that for me has been what I've seen in terms of the Leslie experience and what you've brought to Sibyl, as to Sibyl Consulting Group as well. Like, that's, and it's powerful, right? Like, once, because not everybody can do that, not everyone can translate in a way that others can receive that information easily and then be able to take action on it. So for me, that's what I see as the Leslie experience.
I love that. Thank you. I very much appreciate that. And I think that you said it really well. It's the teaching aspect and meeting them where they
Yeah.
are. And um, thank you. Yeah, that's exactly it.
You have so
One of the
much
many pieces.
experience. You're spreading it wild.
So much,
All
so
the
many years of
seeds, all
experience.
the seeds of wisdom.
So many seeds. Oh my God, y'all. So many seeds of wisdom. I love it. I love it. How many
Well,
All
words
of them being
farming puns
planted.
can we put in here? Let me just see. We're gonna have to count them later.
your tagline, since I'm just picking your LinkedIn apart, your tagline says strategic technology and software partner for growing SMBs. So small and medium sized business SMBs.
Mhm.
For anybody that might be listening that doesn't know what that is, what are
Thank you.
some of the most common tech related challenges that you've experienced, and how has your Leslie experience taken that on?
Ooh, that's a good one. I think over the years, understanding and knowing technology has been something that I've just always strived and tried to learn, right? You have to, you can teach, but you need to learn along the way. So I think that I've definitely put myself in a place to kind of learn and pick up on some of those newer features, newer things, newer products. Like, hey, this is going to make it easier and better. Let's figure that out. And I think that for many small businesses in many industries that I've worked in, it is just letting them know other stuff is out there. You don't have to stay with that old system that you've had forever. I also come from like the MS DOS days of programming and software. So like we have come a really long way from that. And so just making sure that small businesses know that they can be supported. They can make small tweaks and it can make a big difference. Um, it doesn't have to be a huge full new system all the time, right? You have to just bring that information. That's what I think I do is I can bring them some little information that makes a big difference. Or maybe we look at a different system, right? Whatever it might be, or a different way to run that report, or a different way to do that thing that just they might not see it, they might not know it. So just bringing that information to them of what's out there and letting them know, hey, there's a lot of stuff out there. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to know it all, right? It's just what's going to work for your system and your process and your business, and let's figure out the best way that we can do that. So I think that that is what for what small businesses in many industries they just don't know what they don't know, and sometimes they don't even know where to who to ask or where to start. And so I think that just giving them the space, holding space for them in that. I think there was something from our conference this week that Nancy said, and that some others said, it's just holding space for those people. And I think that that is what small businesses need is, okay, we know we need to change. Okay, great. There is a way to do that. You don't have to do it all at once. Let's figure out what makes the most sense, and go from there. And it doesn't have to be making a mountain out of a molehill, right? It's just,
Yeah.
or what is it? How many puns can we put in here? Eating an elephant. What is it? How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right?
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. It's just small businesses don't always really know what they don't know, and so it's just a matter of bringing that to them in a way that is manageable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
especially
good.
because I feel like, a lot of industries that are not tech based are afraid of the technology.
Yeah.
They feel like the software may bite them. But
Yeah.
it's like, and that's not true. It's just a matter of, realizing that they just may not understand the capacity and the entirety of the software, right? So there might be a lot of features and things like that, even with existing software that they may not be leveraging, just because it's not their job to
Right.
understand the software, right? Like it's their job to use it to perform their job. It's not their job to know it and to build upon the software itself. So
Yeah. And a lot of times, especially in that instance where it's not a technology field, right? And even in the technology fields, same thing, right? Same stuff happens. You get what you get, you go with what you know, right?
yep.
But then you also look at the experiences you've had in the past. And when you've had a bad experience with a software, with a program, with a transition, it's like really hard to get over that, right? So there's also a big part of saying, I know that's how it was, but it's not that way anymore, right? It could not, it could be a different company that makes it not that way. It could be the same company that has now evolved and realized that they need to support better or whatever the case may be. But it doesn't always have to be that hard. And yeah, it doesn't always have to be, it doesn't always have to be something that you are needing to be afraid of. It's not going to bite you, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
Exactly.
always like to ask. You said you were back in the MS DOS days. So
Yes.
what was the first color of computer that you worked on?
It was very beige. Um, I was young. And this came up in a trivia question a couple weeks ago. I went to trivia and it was like, when was the first IBM home computer, blah, 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 whatever. And I was like, I remember being like 5 on an IBM computer at my house. So it had to have been before that, right? By the way, it was like in the 70s, in
Oh,
case you're
wow.
wondering.
The first home
Um,
computer?
an actual PC computer that could go in your house, but it didn't actually come for like 10 years, It's like one of
Yeah.
those, don't math me on that. So my mom worked for a big company, and she needed to have, and my aunt used to work for IBM. I think that's also part of somehow. So we had some kind of IBM beige big box with a dot matrix printer. And I remember being really young and printing like the banner for my aunt's birthday
Oh, yes. I
on the dot
remember those
matrix.
banners.
And I had so much fun with like the borders, those old pixel, which by the way you can still do in Word if you need to know how to do those pixelated borders. They still exist. And so you would put the border around it and then do whatever and type it up, and then you print on the dot matrix, and it was like the coolest thing because it was like, look what I just made. So we made like a happy birthday banner for my aunt, and I was like 5. And we had it before that. We had some other games we would play, like definitely Pong or something of this,
Oh,
the
yeah.
little space
Yeah.
bar thing. Anyway,
That's so
um,
funny. I remember those banners. They were a big deal back in the day. Now, Leslie or Nancy, this was way before you. Just way before you.
I don't think it was way before, but I don't know. She knows a dot matrix printer. She can work
Oh, she
around that.
does, but I bet you she's never seen one of those fancy banners that you and I have created at some point in our lives.
It's the continuous roll paper that you don't have to like that it like printed it all
I
throughout.
I remember playing with that in elementary. Okay, okay. Jeez.
Yeah.
Golly, man. That
Yeah,
brought back
man,
so many memories
that's
right
funny.
there. That is
I
so
know.
great.
Listen, Clippy was my friend, okay?
Clippy.
Clippy
Oh, I
was
love
my
Clippy.
friend.
One of these conferences, I gotta take a picture with Clippy. Y'all remember that? I went to the Microsoft booth and I was like, "Oh my gosh, they have Clippy," and I got to
It's
take a picture with
Clippy.
Clippy. I'll just send it to you so you can see it.
Oh my goodness. So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Um, you have been in the tech space for a long time, but you are relatively fresh in the MSP space, or in the channel, as we like to call it. What are some of the things that have stood out to you? Or what are some of the biggest takeaways that you have learned so far from literally plunging into the MSP space over the last 6 months or so?
Uh, that's great. What have I learned about the MSP space? So much. I will tell you that in all of my years working with a lot of smaller and medium-sized businesses, there's a lot of similarities with the way MSPs operate and what they do. And it's really cool to see that in a way of the technology that they use. I mean, obviously different things in different ways, but um, the hard work that people put in all of the aspects of these companies that I meet and the people that we work with is pretty great. And I think that there's an underlying like people part of it that me as a people person I love, because it's like we're all people, we're working hard trying to do what we got to do, and there's a lot of overlap in that overall sense of a small business, and the people that run it, that kind of thing, different generational things depending. um, I will say that the technology part of it is very cool, and learning so much more about all the technology in this MSP space has really opened my eyes to how much small businesses need that support and help in a lot of those technologies, right? And so for me, I think it's really cool because the MSPs work also with a lot of small businesses, right? So they can help provide those services and provide some of that software and provide obviously the security, right? That's a huge thing. And that link between the two MSPs and just small, medium sized businesses, I think is extraordinary. And there's a lot of, I'm not going to use the word synergy. So don't say that I said that, but I use that too much. What's another word for synergy? There's a lot of coordination, collaboration that can happen.
There is,
And I
yeah.
definitely see, what was the word?
No, no, I was just agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Oh, did you have another word for synergy?
No.
Across the different
Synchronization?
synchronization. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of overlap, I think, with
There is.
the small business and the MSP. And my heart is definitely with small and medium sized businesses for so long. And so whatever I can do to help bring that technology to them in whatever way that I can, that's one of my goals, right? Is to help make sure that they understand there's more out there. You can do this, you know. So yeah, there's so many great people in all the spaces, but I'm really excited to see how many more pieces we can fit together with the MSP overlapping with the technology that's needed in the small business space, for sure.
There's definitely a lot of overlap. I mean, an MSP, a managed service provider, they're still, I'd say 99% of them, right, are still a small to medium sized business.
Yep.
And they're helping other small, medium sized businesses, right? It's just, yeah, it's a great fit
Oh
by
yeah.
all means.
And one of the things that I will say that exists in other industries, but not as much as in the MSP industry, is that community, of the whole channel. And I see it, I feel it all the time. And that is extraordinary, actually. I think people want that community feel in other industries. I have not felt that in all the industries that I've been involved in. Um, and when I say stuff about, oh yeah, this or that, they're like, what, really? You do that? They do that. They help each other. What? Like, because it's so important, right? To work together,
Yeah.
and make sure that yeah,
You
it
know, it's
is
it's
that in itself,
funny.
the community is extraordinary.
I used to years ago, right? I ran events and for for the real estate industry. Okay. In the real estate industry, now back then, I don't know about today, but back then I can speak that it was very the one like they were very uh I don't want to say self-centered, even though I feel like they are. But that's not what I'm trying to say. But they're very to themselves, right? So if they have knowledge, rarely do you find them sharing it with
Yep.
other people, let alone people in your same community, like even same local community. Where MSPs are not that way. I mean, I will see an
Not
MSP and
anymore.
not anymore. Oh, interesting. I can tell you as of today, they're not that way. It's like an MSP in a city will still help out another MSP in that same city. And it blows my mind. It's like, how does that community even work?
Yeah. I think the ones who understand collaboration will do that. And they understand that that's really what's best. Like if they offer something, this other person offers something, but together the client needs both of those things. Like, of course, you want to do what you need to do, right? I'd love to dive into it's like that way now. What did it used to be, Nancy?
Well, first of all, I wanted to say to
Oh,
Nancy, Nancy, you've got something that you say, and I can't remember what it is. Something about you don't believe in competition.
Yeah, I don't believe in competition. I believe in collaboration.
yep.
And the reason why is because I have grown up in the MSP space. So it has evolved in the sense that as an industry, 15 years ago, everything was very close to the chest. Nobody was revealing any kind of company secrets or operational secrets or anything along those lines.
Mhm.
It wasn't until I would say within the last 10 years that I've seen a huge change in information sharing, in community building, even more so, focusing in on growing everyone, right? So I think that there's some industry veterans that have led the charge in just sharing what they know and what they've been through. Our good friend Juan Fernandez is one of those people. He wrote several books on handbooks on how to grow your managed service provider and stuff like that. So it really has evolved over the last few years. And I have been blessed and lucky to be a part of that wave of people that have been just offering information, because that's how I grew my MSP. And that's where, I got introduced. Although I have been in the MSP space or in the IT services space for 20 years, it really hasn't been until the last 10 to 15 years that I've been involved in the channel, and I have seen the tremendous growth within that and how it has gone from less of a community to what we are today, of a community where it is a lot more collaborative than competitive, because we're all understanding the fact that there is so much business
Mm.
out there that it's impossible. There's not enough of us service providers to actually do the services that we need to. So when you think about it in that way, you can start to see the fact that, well, I have something that I do, like, Leslie has the Leslie experience. She does something in a certain way. She has a methodology that she follows because of that. So that within itself makes you completely different from your competitor, even if you're offering the same business, like the same service. So someone's we talk about this all the time, like common knowledge isn't always common, or it's not the same for everyone. Well, it's
Yeah.
the same thing when you go to do business with someone. The way that they relay the information that you need may not be how you best receive it. So you find someone that does. And when you are in a community where you can collaborate and you can identify that for each other, you say, "Oh, you know what? You're not the best fit for me, but you are the best fit for Joe down the street who services companies like yours or industries like yours." 100%. So, let me make a referral or send you that way. That's something for me that has I've seen happen in the industry, and just seeing that happen allows just good business to happen even more throughout our entire space. So yeah, I've seen it change. I've seen it go from nobody wants to talk about how they're doing things to openly sharing their methodologies completely, which is something I'm doing through my
Yeah.
book. And like, here's that info, and if it helps you, great. If it doesn't, take what will help and then leave the rest. But there's someone out there that it will help. So that's what I think about
Not
that.
to throw in
We'll
a
get off
shameless
the soapbox now.
not to throw in a shameless plug here, but when's that book release? Do you know the date on that yet?
No date yet. We're still working in the editing process, and oh, that's a killer.
We're gearing for September though, right?
September. September is that's my goal. That's my goal.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I love that. I would also agree with the collaboration. And I do think the last 10 years, I think more people are realizing the need for collaboration, even in the other industries. I don't think they've done it as well as MSPs. But there is definitely a push for, why can't we talk about that thing, right? Why can't we talk about how you're doing it? Let's visit other people, let's see how they do it. Let's talk to other people. Let's have a peer group. Um, I do feel like that is really helpful. And I understand that there's certain places where competition really is tough and like, especially like a real estate industry. I mean, there's certain things to be said about that type of industry where, yeah, it kind of, there's not as
Yeah.
much inventory, but I do agree with the MSP space. It is, in this channel is, there's a lot. And with AI and all the things and security, I mean, there's so many things and so many businesses and people that just aren't as covered as they should be, right? So just that alone is just huge, and that is ever evolving. So there's always going to be a space or a
So,
place for the MSPs to grow if they
Leslie,
feel like they need to grow, right? If they want
I
to.
feel like they
And I
need to
think
grow.
that's the biggest thing about all of this collaboration is you have to want it. You have to want
Yes.
to change and grow. And if you don't want to change and grow, that's okay, but people are going to change and grow around you, right? So if you think about like one of those there's some of those really pretty vines that like flower, and they're really gorgeous, and they you can like, oh, they start really small. They'll take over if you don't cultivate them properly. They will take over. So if you're just like a little twig trying to grow, and then something else comes in that vine, it's gonna take over, right?
Well, I
So
mean, that even goes that goes in life. That's like
oh
a
yeah,
general life, right? I mean, how many of us have friends that we started out with friends, and then we have outgrown that friend because that friend doesn't want to move on, or
yeah,
maybe they moved a different direction. You know,
right,
they're still acquaintances, but they're no longer our really close, tight knit friend, right?
yes,
And yeah, that could easily be said for
yeah.
so many
I,
things in life.
Yeah, and I think that also is true for if you think about the growth of you yourself and your personal just your personal growth over the years, right? You're different at 15 than you are at 25, than you are at 35.
Yeah.
Like you think in decades like, "Oh wow, I really ooh, 15 me. Oh geez, 25 me was pretty cool. 45 me, I don't know, I'm not there yet, but yeah, close, but no. Um, so it's like, okay, what is 55 me gonna look like? What is 65 me gonna look like? Right. And just like I heard somebody saying, like, write that down. It was on another podcast. Actually, it was on a different podcast in the MSP channel. But it was like, write that down. Where are you at? Where are you today? And who do you look like 10 years from now? Right. And I
That's
think
a
taking something like that and thinking about it and writing it down and looking at it on a piece of paper is really helpful. Um, and knowing that you are going to grow whether you like it or not. You're going to
Yeah.
change, excuse me. You're going to change whether you like it or not.
You're gonna change, yes.
How are you going to change, right? And what are you going to do to bring that with you? And just like friends that might have been your friend at 15 that is not your friend at 45 necessarily, right? What does that mean for you, and how can you accomplish your own growth, and then knowing like, okay, that was that season. Like that was my teenage years. You know what, we're not as close anymore because we're just not close anymore, whatever that might be, right?
Yeah.
So in the different parts of your life is a very similar thing for a business, right? When you're just starting out, you need different things than when you're 5 years in, than when you're hitting a certain
True.
revenue mark. And when you're hiring people, you need different things. So you want to make sure that you're in a place and a channel having that collaboration to get to that next step, right? You look up for those people that are already doing it. Hey, learn from them. And then you look down and say, here, for all these people below me or under me or like behind me, right? Here's what I can provide to you. And I think that was something that really came out, even with this conference we just got back from. That stuck out. It was like you want to mentor, you want to grow, you want to be a part of something. You need to mentor and grow to grow yourself, but then also for that next generation, which by the way, we could have a whole podcast on that next generation coming up. I love it. I love it
I
so
mean,
much.
it's almost as if you want to, or you should anyway, find your purpose, you know?
Oh, for sure. I think it all starts with finding your purpose. And
I think
honestly,
so.
I love that so much because if you don't really know where you're going, what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, that is really the first step, and everybody will tell you that when you start a business, when you do something, okay, find out what is your end game, where are you trying to be, why are you doing this, right? What is your purpose? Why are you doing this? I think that is huge. And I
And
think that
Nancy,
not enough people even start there. They just do what they do. Oh, I've been an IT person and I know how to fix computers, or I know this, or I know this other industry, and that's just what I've been done. And now I look back, it's been 20 years. What am I doing and why am I doing it? Right?
so that leads me a question for Nancy. Nancy, I know that we have a test, and it was a shameless plug, another one. We have a purpose
The
factor
best
test that
plug.
we give to clients, right? To
Mhm.
find their purpose and their understanding in life, I guess. Would
Mhm.
you like to expound on that a little bit?
Yeah, so it's funny. We were talking about just came back from a conference, and while we were at the conference, I was having a conversation with a fellow vendor, and we were talking about purpose, exactly that. And so I was explaining the story of how I came about finding this assessment myself and taking it, and how day one when I took the assessment, not even day one, the moment that the report came out immediately, I started to cry because I felt seen. This piece of paper was telling me what I had felt like I had known, but it was a confirmation, a validation of what my purpose is. And because of that, I was able to lean in on it even more so, now that it's almost like this full extreme clarity, right? Of like, oh, wow, this is what drives me. This is my purpose. But the beauty of it for me came when you guys took the assessment, and when the confirmation of what I thought I knew about you guys and what made us a great team was on that paper. That was like, wow, okay, like, let's now lean in on those strengths even more so. But the even more powerful thing about it is that it's a tool for us to continue to use, to not just, work on ourselves, but then how do we continue to collaborate as a team, as an internal team? Now that we have a shared compass and we also understand what drives each of us individually, that within itself, I think, is has been one of the most eye-opening aspects of this, and why it's, for me, like, this is so necessary in this industry, because it is almost a roadmap, um, like a roadmap of, yes, purpose, but also your blind spots of, what are you lacking, what do you what and not lacking in the sense of, like, do you need to work on, but more so of, can you lean on your team members for those items, and so that's where the purpose factor discovery, it's just the beginning of an iceberg in my mind when it comes to the how you can leverage your purpose and making sure that it is fully aligned with your business, so that you are creating a business that you love to go to, that you love to share and talk about, rather than a business that's going to eat you up, and 10 years down the road you realize, oh well, like, totally misaligned with everything, and I'm bitter and I'm getting angry and I'm not liking where things are today. And now all of a sudden you have to have a huge come to Jesus moment, or something similar, and then decide what to do, so it's like this allows you to almost strategically and proactively look at your culture and your values and the direction in which your company is going, so that you can ensure that you are always on that path and not detouring, wherever speed bumps and fences come up.
I
So
love it.
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
I love
Yeah,
it
it
too.
is definitely a great test. Yeah, I have so much to say about it. I'm not gonna say anything
I
because our
know we
time is running out.
we
But,
definitely should. That's another podcast.
yeah, we should. We should
Another
definitely
podcast.
do a Purpose
Oh,
Factor podcast because there's so much to unpack there.
Yeah.
Uh, Leslie, I have one more question for you.
Yes.
I know, from my experience in the events world, I can look back over events and I can see how I've helped companies change or save money, I guess, rather, in the events world. And I have actual numbers that I can say, man, I helped them save X amount of dollars on this one show, right? Do you have that number that you maybe have saved a business by helping them optimize their their workflows?
I've thought about this and all the numbers and all the things, and I never was really good about keeping track of that. over the many years. I will say it's exponential in the in what I can. Small changes make such a big difference. It's hard to put a
Yeah.
number to that. So
It's
it'll
like
be
an
like
onion, right? Like
it's something like going into a facility and saying, okay, we run this report every day. Okay, great. How do you run that report? Okay, let's look at it. Who gets these pages? I don't know. I put this in Bob's box. I put this in Janet's box, and I put this one in Mark's box. I'm like, okay, great. So I go to Janet, Bob, and Mark, and I'm like, hey, what do you do with this report? Oh yeah, I sift through this of these 10 pages and I take this last page out and throw the other 9 away. And then the next one is like, oh yeah, I never really look at that. I just throw it out. Oh yeah, I look at it, but then I have to do all this math and da da da. Oh yeah, there's a checkbox to do the math for you. Oh really? Okay, let me go back to the person that runs that report. Right? It's like little things like that. That's like just piecing it together, knowing and understanding those different options and features or whatever it might be, and then thinking, I just save them 50 pieces of paper a day.
Yeah.
So how do you put it? No, I don't know how to put a number on that, right? And that's just one of the many different things in some of the detailed things that I do
Yeah.
for that. And then also, I don't know. I need to think about it. I know how many states I've been to in traveling throughout the country of these different small
That's funny.
businesses. How many years I've been doing it, right? I mean, there's some of those things. I don't even know how many people I've trained. I don't even know that I could count that number. So yeah, there's a
funny,
lot.
like
There's a lot of efficiencies that I don't know that I could even put a number on if I needed to. But I will
yeah.
definitely think about it.
When I'm thinking about that, like all I'm thinking of is even the scenario that you're talking about, like the efficiency that is saved, right? You're not just talking about the cost of the paper that it takes to print the ink, right? No, now you're talking about the time that is
Mhm.
being saved in those processes. Now you're talking about the fact that with that time, that employee is now exponentially more productive because they can focus on other things since they get exactly what they need when they need it without any of the um,
Manual
trap.
work.
I was gonna say bull crap. Anyway,
Mhm.
um, without any of that, and then on top of that, the mental space that you give them back in
Yeah,
that
Yeah.
that
it's
so it
huge.
is that is hard to quantify how much optimizing and bringing in efficiencies to operations, like how what is that calculation? Like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah,
That
Yeah,
would be
I
hard
think
to
I
quantify.
think your calculation would be more like, I've saved companies so many man-hours. Like,
yeah.
that would be more of a calculation than so much money, right?
Oh,
Because,
yes. Yeah, yeah,
you know,
true.
Well, that equals up to money at the end of the day.
Yeah,
it does. It ultimately
yeah.
does. Yeah.
I'm not, I'm not I would need to put some numbers down. I have a statistician help me with that officially on that thing because I don't think about it in that way as much. But yeah, no, there's a lot.
You should
Um,
totally get that. You should totally write that
yeah,
down. It'd be fun to just see, you
math
know?
that out. Let's math that out. Let's do that on another podcast. Let's do math. I know that's Nancy's favorite.
I'm out.
All right.
We're gonna lean into our strengths
That's right.
and not
Not
make
for
Nancy do
mine.
math.
Well,
That is
we have
torture.
come to the end of this show. And Leslie, we thank you so much for joining us today
You're
for
so
our
welcome.
Tech Ties and Human Vibes podcast. We
Yeah,
enjoyed
I hope.
talking to you, and I'm sure we will. Man, I've saw you all week long, so I'm sure we'll
Yeah,
see you again.
yeah. I hope that you enjoyed learning about the Leslie experience.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
I definitely did.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for
We
having
enjoyed
me.
learning about it and experiencing it.
Oh, always.
Thanks for joining us today on Tech Ties and Human Vibes. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, exclusive tips from our speakers, and more, head over to the community at sibylcommunity.com.